of war vets that have PTSD that she's kind of hiding out in as well. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic that everybody has their own little traumas that they're kind of overcoming in the house as well. I mean, how was it with the other actors? I mean, the other actors obviously had to kind of almost play, their own little kind of traumatic things in their head. Tell me a little bit about that and, what you thought about that in the story.
Yeah, I thought that was great because we all experience all our own traumas individually, right? And you really can't ever know what anyone else is going through in their own heads. So it's kind of a magical experience when you have this material and everyone, like you said, every character is kind of dealing with their own sort of emotional trauma that they're going through. But I remember one instance that sticks out to me, having paralleling with that, was with Emily. One of the actresses in the film. It's when we decide that I'm gonna take control. I'm not gonna spoil it, and I'm trying to think about how to talk about it without giving too much away. But we have a conversation. Me and her character have a conversation in the film, and but I just remember her kind of going to this place, and she got very emotional, and then we talked about it afterwards, and she's like, "Yeah, I started." She was like, "How do you kind of conjure up emotions or anything in movies or what you do?" And I'm like, well, it all depends. I draw from my own life more than not, and sometimes it doesn't happen in the moment. I'm very of the thought process of David Mamet's approach to acting and filmmaking, where it's like what happens, and if it doesn't happen, then it wasn't supposed to. But I'm emotional a lot in this film, and I think it was just me thinking about my own past and my things that I've been through with my own family members. And I think it was the same for her too. So it was interesting to talk to her about how she related the material that she was reading to other instances in her life. And we were kind of doing the same thing. So it was nice to share a moment with her about that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard because, I mean, I've worked with actors before where they don't have that experience behind them, a lot of, especially if they're a lot younger actors, Yeah. I remember the time I was at work with an actor and I was talking to her about, she's doing a monologue about, wanting to, about somebody who had died. And I was trying to get her into method acting where it's like, well, let's draw from experience. Was there ever a traumatic death that ever happened in your family? And she ended up saying no. And that's kind of tough to get through. But, experience does, first of all, help out in terms of acting, and even the bad experiences, if more so that ends up happening. So I absolutely understand your kind of your thing there as well. How was it for you to kind of get into character, on set, and then, maybe after the scene, try to get out of character just so you could be yourself again?
I think I just brought up David Mamet, but I'm kind of his school of thought of like, there is no character. There's just kind of words on a page, and the character is just me, who I am. So I just draw from my own life experiences, and I kind of, it's kind of therapy in a way, because sometimes I work things out for myself during movies. But for Alice, since it was such heavy material, it was important for me to stay in a certain headspace during the whole time, where I listened to music a lot. Like I said, I had a playlist, and I would listen to music. I would kind of go off in a corner and listen to music and not really talk to anyone. I'm sure a majority of people on the crew thought I was just a weird loner, because I was by myself a lot, just so I could bring to it the level that I needed to. But at the end of the day, I was done and I was tired, so I had no problem just going home and going to sleep. Most nights, some nights I would stay up and overthink things. But yeah, I just wanted to be as truthful as I could and everything. So I tried to, as far as getting into character, I just tried to stay in a even receptive headspace where I could just be open to receiving the moment.
When you finally got to see the cut of the film, I mean, what was your reaction?
I thought it was beautiful. I thought Ryan has done a beautiful job. I've been there throughout the whole process, so I've seen like different versions of it. I did ADR and I saw some of it. So, and ultimately, when you go and act after you're done, kind of your job is done, so you have to kind of give up what you did to the director or the editor, and hope that everything kind of comes together and gels. And I think it did. I really do. And I think this for Ryan's, this being his first feature film, like he did a brilliant, amazing job. So I think it's beautiful, and I hope people can watch it and relate to it, or, you know, that's always my hope, is that people don't feel so alone when they watch my work. So that's what I hope that people can get from it.
You know, I mean, I said I saw a cut of the movie. You know, I thought it was a very solid movie. I highly recommend everybody watch it because it's, you know, I would almost say that, you know, it's almost, you know, I would say it's almost Oscar worthy, just the way that the story is, how the acting is in there as well.
Wow, thank you.
Are you there, Ashley? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, we were lost you for a second. Yeah. I was saying that, you know, I think that the acting is really good. I mean, the cast was really, really good. The story, I think, is very intriguing, and it has that aura, like I said, that kind of darkish aura about it that just screams really good movie. And, you know, it's a situation where I think, you know, they you know, a big Hollywood movie, you know, will spend, you know, whatever, you know, 50, $100 million on a film. I don't think they quite did it on this one, but I think the story and the acting made it so good that it's one of those things where I think it's going to be a hit once people start watching it. So, you know, I think that I'm interested to see what other people think as well. I mean, you know, not a lot of us got the opportunity to be able to watch it before it came out, but I'm interested to see what people have said and all that as well. But, you know, having watched it myself, I think people are going to be very positive in terms of how it went. And it's not you know, I think it's about 80, 90 minutes, I think. So It's not a very long movie, but it does drive a really solid point home. And like I said, the story and the acting is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I hope people like it too. And like you said, there's kind of a darkness to it. I don't know, in some way that can kind of bring light to situations. So I can only hope that people watch it and, you know, can gain something from it.
Yeah, well, I'm really hoping that this gets a lot of buzz, you know, and I'm more, you know, obviously I'm part of that thing to kind of get the buzz kind of going on it. So, anything you want to add at all, Ashley?
No, I think that's great. Those were awesome questions. I appreciate that.
No problem. Where can people find you on social media?
I love Instagram. That's like my number one. So they can find me on Instagram. I'm just at Ashley Shelton. I think there's like a period in between the Ashley and Shelton, and then Facebook and Twitter and all that. It's just my name.
Yeah. And by the way, what's the temperature out there in Knoxville?
Well, yesterday it was like 60s. We got a warm spell, but tomorrow and the next day is going to be freezing. We're expecting some snow. So that's kind of East Tennessee weather for you. It goes up and down.
Yeah, I mean, it's sticking right around. I mean, the highs are like in the 65, 70 range here in Vegas, and you know, dips down to the 40s. So it's been very temperate out here. So I feel bad for from my friends up north where they're getting, you know, minus 10, you know, and snow. So
I know. Does it ever get
have you had an opportunity to come out here at all?
I have actually went to Vegas a couple years ago for a charity event, and it was a lot of fun. I had never been. So I would love to come out there again and explore. I'm a big fan of the desert, so I would love to kind of explore the desert more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got friends out there in Knoxville, and, you know, I've always wanted to go out there in Knoxville and try to definitely check out Knoxville as well. So
you should go. You should try to go to you should go to the Smoky Mountains. So if you ever come out here, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I'd love to. You know, I mean, Tennessee, I've always heard some really good things about it as well. And I've had a lot of people that, you know, obviously have been out to Nashville because they're singers that have been on the show as well. So yeah, I've been, you know, I'll have to get out to Tennessee at least one of these days on that as well. Ashley, it's been an absolute pleasure. Again, congratulations on the movie. I really hope that people go and watch it on demand. Anywhere you can get on demand, you'll be able to watch this movie. You won't regret it. It's a very, very good drama. You'll see some superb acting, a really great story. I think people are gonna enjoy it. So, you know, best of luck to you coming up this coming year, Ashley.
You too. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
We'll be back with director Ryan Bliss right after this. My guest at this time is the director of a very good movie. I got the opportunity to watch a very cool sneak preview of it. It's currently right now available on video on demand. It's called Alice Fades Away. Ryan Bliss is on with us right now. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I just talked to Ashley, and I mean, her performance was absolutely brilliant in the movie. As you know, I think. Tell me your thoughts about casting Ashley in the title role, and working with her on set.
We were very lucky to get Ashley. We auditioned a lot of actresses for the role, and she had a killer audition. And I watched it one time, and I knew, like, she's Alice, she's the one. And she messaged me after, and she just said that she felt such a deep connection with the character that she wouldn't take no for an answer. So that was good enough for me. And yeah, she's phenomenal. She's such a great actress, and she's amazing in the movie. She had a strong opinion of the character, and we, I had written the script, but I cast her very early on in the process, because obviously the title role. So, we got to put the most time into that. And so we developed it further together, me and her, leading up to the actual filming. And then we filmed the flashback scenes in February. And then we had like 5 months to even come up with new things and to grow the character even more by the time we got back and did the chunk of filming on the farm later on that summer. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, Ashley had mentioned that it took about a year for you guys to get the working together pretty much on the character and the development of the character as well. And she brought some stuff in, her being from originally from Tennessee, and that almost connection with kind of being that that kind of almost backwoods gal. And also she was talking about just pulling from her own experiences as well. I had absolutely agree that she kind of she nailed the role pretty much to a T as well. I mean, how was it working with her on set? I know a lot of times, and I was talking to her about this, the idea that she didn't have very many lines. She had some really great lines in the movie, but a lot of it was dealing with her physicality and the way that she moved in a scene. Can you tell me a little bit about working with her on the set and working in her interpretation of the character?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we didn't really. We had done all the prep work. So when we got on set, I didn't really have to talk to her all that much. She was kind of my ace in the hole throughout the entire time, where I didn't have any notes for her because she knew the character, almost better than I did. And so I could just focus on everyone else. And then I'd check in with her. How you doing? How you feeling? And, and if there was anything she wanted to talk about, we could talk about it. But other than that, we kind of had just a silent relationship in a lot of ways. And it's a very emotional part. It's very emotionally intense. And so you have to kind of go to very deep places emotionally to get that character, So I give her all the credit in the world because it's not easy. And, I've never, this being my first feature, I hadn't seen that up close and personal. When you hear about actors kind of disappearing into roles and the toll it takes on them, you don't understand it until you see it. And she put it all on the line for the role. And it was a joy. It was a joy to see her and to work with her in that sense.
Yeah, and I described to her the character as almost being a little bit cold and, really just kind of a different role, I think, than, we see a lot of female actresses kind of take it. I mean, I wouldn't say there was little emotion in her. I think she's a very complex character. And it's kind of interesting. And she talked a lot about trauma. And obviously, this is a big theme throughout the whole movie, is the idea of trauma, grieving, trauma, post-traumatic stress syndrome, a lot of this as well. Coming into writing this movie, I mean, what kind of were your thoughts going in and some of the themes that you were looking at?
All of those. I mean, yeah, those were all very important. And, it taking place in the early 50s when PTSD still was in the early stages of even being diagnosed, it was kind of a fascinating subject to tackle because it was a very